This is the Expect Awesome Podcast, your source for expecting and achieving awesome with a God-powered confidence. And now, motivational speaker and Integrity Doctors President, Mr. Ryan K. Maule.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I can officially say it has been a minute. That's right, it's been a while. And here I am today coming back to you to get this thing started again, to get this pushed again. And why? Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to explain to you today in today's teaching why I'm doing this again, why this is happening, why I feel called to step back in this podcast and release these episodes and give you more thoughts and more talk. And so hang with me here, because here's what I think I really need to do. I think I really need to reestablish the foundation of what this podcast is, because this is the Expect Awesome podcast, and I do want you to expect awesome for your life. I do believe it's still the right way to live. I do believe it's necessary, and I do believe that you can experience awesome, but first you need to expect it. But here's what I want to lay the foundation for today is something that I have kind of expanded my thoughts on and realizing where this whole podcast concept really works for me and what it means for me and why to do it. And that is talking about the simple word in the title, expectation. See, when it comes to expectations, I believe that an expectation is something that if you anticipate something, you can get it more if you anticipate it. If I expect awesome, I believe that you have a better chance of experiencing it rather than if you just expect things to go okay. If you just expect things to just, run their course. I believe that when you expect something, that greater can come from it. And when things do come from it, when results do happen, you can achieve bigger and greater results. But the expectation first is what propels you to what you need and what can happen. So, in terms of the Expect Awesome podcast, here's what I want you to understand today. I believe the expectation of awesome is bigger than it has ever been. And I believe it's a bigger concept than I've ever even thought of it before. Because here's where I really see it now. This is where I want you to understand the foundation of every episode from here on out. I believe that you should expect awesome, because I believe that awesome is expected out of you. Now, what does that mean? See, I believe that God is expecting awesome from you. Now, think about that for a second. I believe that God has called you to a purpose. I believe that God has called you to live a life of work and dedication and pushing to do not just things, to not just do simple concepts, not just, let's say, complete tasks. I believe He has prepared you, created you, and meant you to do and experience awesome. Now, why do I think this? Why do I think that this is, well, Ryan, you don't know what God, I do know, because I do know one very simple thing. I know that God is awesome. I know that God is awesome. I know He is the most awesome. I know that nothing is more awesome than Him. And because I know that nothing is more awesome than Him, here's what I also know. The good book says something in there in the very beginning. It says that I was made in His own image. Which means if I was made in the image of the most awesome, that means I was made with awesome. And I was made to be awesome. Because as a reflection of Him, to be made in His image, means that if I was made in the image of awesome, that awesome is in me, that awesome is here. But if I don't put weight in the expectation, and I don't understand what the expectation is, what will happen is I will do what Dr. Darius Daniels calls the settling of life. Now, he says that one of my favorite quotes of his, he says that God will allow you to settle for whatever level you choose to live on. Which means even though he may have had more awesomeness planned for you, if you choose to settle lower than that, he's not mad at it, he understands it, he will allow it, and he will support it. But that doesn't mean there wasn't another level of awesome prepared for you. It doesn't mean there wasn't another level of awesome created for you or even meant for you. But what it does mean is that it isn't just going to happen. It isn't just a guarantee. It isn't just something that's going to be given to you with no effort. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some push. In order to achieve awesome, you must go for awesome. And I believe that God is working in you right now. But what you might be distracted by is all the problems and all the issues and all of the things that get in the way of awesome. All the things that get in the way of achieving awesome, because we get distracted, because it's very hard to focus on the expectation of awesome when we're living in the awful. When you're living in the awful, when everybody's pushing back, when you're having family problems, when your kids are driving you crazy and pushing every single button you have, when your business isn't going the way you want it to, when it was going good but now it isn't, when your goals are not being hit, when the numbers are not being made, when all of a sudden things were good but now they're tight, it's very hard in those moments to say, you know what, I want to experience awesome. It's much easier to say, I just want to survive. And the problem with surviving is that it's at the other opposite end of awesome. See, I know that if God created you to experience awesome and he wanted you to expect awesome, that means you must be pushing towards awesome. So even when the rain is pelting you, even when the hurt is all over you, even when the darkness is all around you, you can still push towards awesome because God's expecting it. And he wouldn't expect something of you that you couldn't do. He wouldn't expect something of you that you aren't ready or prepared for. He created you to experience awesome. He created you with that expectation. Now, how do I know he created with you with that expectation? Because naturally, it's just a fatherly thing. If I'm creating his image, I feel those same things. I'm realizing things right now as a father that I have expectations for my own children. Just as I'm now even in the reflection of knowing that my own dad had expectations of me. Now, did I agree with every expectation? Absolutely not. Did I want every expectation? No. There were expectations he had that I didn't want to fulfill, but at the same time, those expectations pushed me to do things that took me out of my comfort zone, took me to places and gave me experiences that I will forever be grateful for. Because I believe that without those expectations, I probably wouldn't experience awesome at the level of awesome that I'm at now. One of those easy examples is that, my dad was really big into me getting a degree. He was very big into me going to college and getting my bachelor's degree. And if I'm honest with you, I didn't like that very much. I just did not see school the same way. I realized that we're all taught that there's this natural progression, that you go through all the regular school, you go through elementary, middle to high school, and then naturally you go to college and beyond, or whatever you want to do from there. But that wasn't me. I went to college and I hated it. I hated college. I didn't like the structure. I didn't like the way it was made. I didn't like the expectation. I didn't like anything about it. I hated college. I didn't want to do college. In fact, if it had been up to me, I wouldn't have done it. I would have dropped out, but there was a thing keeping me from dropping out, because I realized you could easily say, well, Ryan, you're an adult. You could have dropped out. Yes, I could, but there was something in the way there, and it was a little thing called an expectation. And that expectation was for me to get a degree. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember being on campus on the day of my graduation from the University of Florida. And I remember standing there in my cap and gown, and I remember seeing my dad's beaming face and how proud he was that I had achieved this pinnacle, that I had reached and tackled this expectation. And then I didn't really understand it. But the older I get, the more I realized it. Although that there was a lot of things, although I wasn't the perfect student, although I pushed back on a lot, although I fought a lot, although I didn't make it easy on myself either, I'm grateful today for the expectation. I'm grateful today for the results of the expectation. And in saying that, I want to make sure you understand that you have to see the expectation not as a burden, but as a push, as a keep going, as a reason for awesome. See, I think a lot of times we see expectations as not that. I think we see expectations as pressure. And awesome shouldn't be a pressure. Awesome is it's the reward for the work of the expectation, for the push of the expectation. See, you don't need to be pressured to experience awesome. You don't even need to be pressured to meet expectations. What you need to do is to realize that if God expects it, it means it will happen. It means it has the ability to happen. It means it is there for you. So why should you be pushing today? Why should you be pushing when you don't feel awesome? When life doesn't feel awesome? When it just feels like you're being hit from every angle? Because God created you for it. It's there. And He wouldn't have put an expectation for awesome on your life if it wasn't even possible. So here's where we go from here. I want you to know that I believe that you were meant for awesome. You were created for awesome. And God is expecting awesome because you are awesome. And I know that you're awesome because you were created in the image of the most awesome. So let's do this together. Let's choose awesome. Let's go for awesome. And let's expect awesome. Talk to you soon.
For more awesomeness, visit ryankmaule.com or follow him on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @RyanKMaule. Until next time, keep smiling and remember, you are awesome.